Deep Dive Summary of Inner Excellence by Jim Murphy. Welcome, listener, to the transformative world of Inner Excellence by Jim Murphy, a book that's not just about achieving peak performance, but about discovering the best possible life. Picture this. A former baseball player turned coach, Jim Murphy, sets out on a quest that takes him from the diamond to the Sonoran Desert, seeking answers to life's deepest questions. How do the world's greatest performers thrive under pressure? And more importantly, how can any of us, athletes, executives, or everyday dreamers, live with deep contentment, joy, and confidence, no matter the circumstances? This isn't your typical self-help book. It's a manual for rewiring your heart and mind, a guide to shedding the illusions of success that society peddles, and a roadmap to a life of fearless authenticity. We'll walk through Jim's revelations, from the samurai warriors of feudal Japan to the Olympic athletes of today, uncovering a philosophy that's as old as human struggle and as fresh as this very moment. So, settle in, open your mind, and let's embark on this journey together, a journey toward inner excellence. The heart of the matter. Our story begins with a samurai named Koyama Bunpachiro, a warrior in feudal Japan who lived by a code of total commitment, ready to die each day for his duty. But when the samurai era ended in 1867, Bunpachiro's world crumbled. His identity, tied to his status, vanished, leaving him lost to alcoholism. Jim Murphy, the author and Bunpachiro's great-grandson, uses this tale to frame a profound truth. When your heart is built on something temporary, your life becomes unstable. Jim's own journey mirrors this. After playing outfield for the Chicago Cubs organization, he found himself chasing batting averages instead of meaning, his self-worth rising and falling with each hit. Disillusioned, he retreated to the desert in 2004, shedding possessions and distractions to ask, what makes a life extraordinary? His 5 years of research revealed that extraordinary performance and a fulfilling life share the same path, one rooted in the heart. Here, Jim lays out his presuppositions, the assumptions that shape this book. He challenges old beliefs like, I am my thoughts, or my value is my results, replacing them with empowering ones. Every circumstance is here to teach you. Your life reflects your beliefs, and self-centeredness is the root of fear. These aren't just platitudes, they're the foundation for a mindset shift. Jim argues that to live fully, we must train our hearts to love what's powerful and permanent, not fleeting and fragile. It's a call to let go of limits and embrace infinite possibilities, a theme that echoes through every chapter ahead. Introduction, a new way of seeing. Now, let's meet Ryan Dodd, a world champion water ski jumper who, in 2011, woke up in an alley with a fractured skull after a triumphant night gone wrong. Bleeding in the brain, he faced emergency surgery and a long recovery. Yet, against all odds, Ryan returned to the water, broke world records, and claimed the title of #1 in his sport. What changed? Not his training volume, but his mindset. Ryan learned inner excellence, a way of seeing the world that flipped his pursuit from trophies to transformation. Jim introduces this mindset. I compete to raise the level of excellence in my life, to learn and grow, in order to raise it in others. It's not about winning for ego, but about fully experiencing the moment and helping others do the same. Contrast this with the world's view, where winning is everything, opponents are enemies, and failure is feared. Inner excellence sees failure as feedback, opponents as partners, and the real prize as growth. This is a lifestyle for all of us, whether we're athletes or not. Jim promises to show us how Olympians perform under pressure with peace, and how we can too, in boardrooms, kitchens, or anywhere life tests us. The secret? Overcoming self-centeredness, the biggest obstacle to both performance and joy. With 3 pillars, love, wisdom, and courage, Jim sets the stage for a life of belief, focus, and freedom. Let's dive into the first chapter and see where this path begins. Chapter 1. Maslow and the Maserati, the pursuit of more. Imagine driving a Maserati, sleek, fast, a symbol of success. But what if that car, or any possession, becomes your identity? Jim opens Maslow and the Maserati with a warning. Society's affluenza virus, obsession with possessions, achievements, looks, money, and status, steals our true dreams. These palms of triumph promise happiness but deliver emptiness, pulling us from the narrow road of real freedom. Drawing on Abraham Maslow's study of luminaries like Lincoln and Einstein, Jim redefines Maslow's self-actualizers as selfless actualizers, people who live vividly, focused on personal growth and purpose beyond themselves. They're absorbed in the moment, grateful for the mundane, and unshaken by ego's defenses. Jim contrasts this with his baseball days, where his batting average dictated his mood, a roller coaster of pride and despair. The antidote to affluenza? Reordering our loves. Jim cites Augustine. We are shaped most by what we love. If we love fleeting things, money, fame, we're restless. But loving something permanent, like unconditional love itself, grounds us. Ask yourself, what do I dream about? Worry about? Get upset over? Your answers reveal your heart's treasure. Jim urges us to chisel away what's not us, like Michelangelo sculpting David, to uncover a fearless, undivided heart. Let deep dive. Seduced by the siren's song. Picture this. A sleek Maserati roars down the highway, 454 horsepower, 186 miles per hour, a price tag north of $134,000. It's the kind of car that turns heads, the kind that whispers, "You've made it." But what if that whisper is a lie? What if chasing that car, or any symbol of success, leads us not to freedom, but to a cage? Jim Murphy, a former baseball player turned coach and seeker, opens this chapter with a stark warning from Aikido master George Leonard. Seduced by the siren song of a consumerist, quick-fix society, we sometimes choose a course of action that brings only the illusion of accomplishment, the shadow of satisfaction. This is the story of how we lose ourselves in the pursuit of more stuff, more praise, more status, and how we can find our way back to what truly matters. So, settle in, and let's peel back the layers of this seductive trap together. The two paths, freedom or affluenza. Jim starts by painting a choice. Two roads stretch before us. The first is wide, inviting, paved with applause and glittering prizes, society's highway to success. It's the path most of us know well, the one promising freedom in the form of a bigger house, a flashier car, or a fatter bank account. The second path is narrower, rockier, less traveled. It's riskier, demanding sacrifice and courage, but it leads to a deeper kind of freedom, one of deep contentment, joy, and confidence, unshaken by life's ups and downs. As a young outfielder in the Chicago Cubs organization, Jim walked the wide road. Every hit lifted his spirits, every strikeout sank them. His batting average wasn't just a number, it was his identity. He chased the cheers, the stats, the approval, thinking they'd fill a void he couldn't name. But they didn't. They couldn't. That's when he realized, real freedom isn't free. It costs us something. Our attachment to fleeting things, our fear of failure, our need to look good. Enter the affluenza virus, a term Jim borrows to describe Western culture's obsession with five hollow idols: possessions, achievements, looks, money, and status. He calls them palms, symbols of triumph, like the fronds waved for victors in ancient times. But these palms don't satisfy. They infect us with a restless hunger for more. Jim asks us to imagine, what if your dream car breaks down? What if your status fades? If your heart's tied to these, your life wobbles. This chapter, he promises, will show us how to break free, starting with a man named Maslow and a sculptor named Michelangelo. Maslow's selfless actualizers, chiseling the true self. Let's step back to the 20th century, where psychiatrist Abraham Maslow studied the lives of history's giants: Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, Albert Einstein. What made them tick? Not fame or wealth, Maslow found, but a way of being he called self-actualization. Jim tweaks this, dubbing them selfless actualizers, people who lived fully, vividly, beyond the pull of ego. They weren't born perfect. They became extraordinary by shedding what didn't serve them. Maslow listed 9 traits of these high achievers, and Jim walks us through them like a gallery of treasures. First, total absorption. They dove into moments with complete focus, free of self-concern. Think of Einstein lost in equations, time melting away. Second, personal growth. They chased experiences, not applause, seeing the journey as the joy. Third, self-awareness. They knew their motives and lived by an inner code, even if it made them outsiders. Then there's Gemeinschaft, a German word for fellowship, because they crave connection, not isolation. Gratitude, too. They marveled at sunsets and wildflowers as if seeing them anew each time. Authenticity drove them, resisting society's mold. They savored solitude, comfortable in silence. They had a purpose beyond self, serving humanity. And crucially, they dropped ego defenses, walls we build that trap us, not protect us. Jim likens this to Michelangelo sculpting David. The statue was always there, hidden in marble. Michelangelo just chipped away what wasn't David. So it is with us. Beneath our fears, our neediness, lies an undivided heart, a warrior's heart, waiting to emerge. But the affluenza virus keeps piling on more marble, more stuff to prove our worth. Jim's baseball days echo here. I was afraid of losing, so I lost my joy. My heart was divided, chasing ghosts. The affluenza virus, a soul-stealing sickness. Now, let's zoom in on this affluenza virus. It's sneaky, pervasive, like a cold you catch from the air around you. Jim lists its symptoms: an endless craving for possessions, that new gadget, achievements, another trophy, looks, the perfect selfie, money, a bigger paycheck, and status, more followers. These aren't bad in themselves. A nice car's fine, a win feels good, but when they become your ultimate treasure, they own you. Picture a cycle. You get a raise, friends praise you, pride swells. You chase more, but the thrill fades. Soon, you're restless again, comparing yourself to the next guy. Jim calls it the lust for more than others. Not just more, but more than you. It's a sickness that hollows you out. He recalls his time in Costa Rica, where a dentist and a tow truck driver shared dinner, equal in content. No virus there, just simplicity, gratitude, a life unburdened by palms. Back home, though, it's everywhere. TV ads, social media, even our conversations, they push us to measure ourselves by what we have, not who we are. Jim warns, when your identity's tied to transient things, insecurity's your shadow. Lose the job, the looks, the likes, and what's left? An empty shell. The real dream, feeling alive, connected, purposeful, slips away, replaced by a chase for shadows. But there's hope, Jim says, and it starts with what we love most. Reordering our loves. Augustine's insight. Here's where Jim brings in a voice from 1,700 years ago. Augustine Aurelius, a philosopher with a thirst for truth. Augustine said, "We are shaped most not by what we think, not by what we do, but by what we love." It's a simple, piercing idea. Your life follows your heart's deepest love. Love popularity, and you're insecure. Love money, and you're never rich enough. Love something eternal, like unconditional love itself, and you're unshakable. Jim reflects on his baseball days again. He thought he loved home runs, the roar of the crowd. But digging deeper, he realized he craved feeling alive, fully engaged, part of something bigger. The cheers were just a stand-in. He asks us 3 questions to uncover our own loves. What do I dream about? What do I worry about? What gets me upset? If it's losing status or missing out, affluenza's got you. If it's missing a chance to connect or grow, you're on the narrow path. Your life's as stable as what you love, Jim says. Build it on a Maserati, and it crashes with the first dent. Build it on love, purpose, growth, and it stands firm. This isn't about guilt, it's about clarity. We're all human, drawn to shiny things. But Jim urges us to reorder our loves, to prize what's powerful and permanent over what's fleeting and frail. Pursuing Ghosts, Joe Ehrmann's story. To drive this home, Jim shares a story from Jeffrey Marx's Season of Life. Meet Joe Ehrmann, an NFL star who seemed to have it all: contracts, accolades, the dream. Yet inside, he felt empty. "I kept thinking the next contract, the next girl, the next car would bring peace," Joe said. It didn't. He'd climbed the ladder of success, only to find it leaned against the wrong building. Joe realized he'd been chasing ghosts, false idols of masculinity, athletic prowess, sexual conquests, wealth. Society taught him these defined a man, but they left him lost. Later, as a high school coach, he redefined success. Masculinity is about relationships and a cause bigger than yourself. At life's end, he wanted to know the world was better because he lived. That's the narrow road, sacrificing ego for meaning. Jim ties this to us all. We chase ghosts too, degrees, likes, promotions, thinking they'll fill us. They won't. The real dream isn't the Maserati. It's the vitality, the connection, the courage it promises but can't deliver. Jim's seen it in athletes, executives, himself. The pursuit of more blinds us to what's already within. Conclusion: the cost of real freedom. As we close this chapter, Jim leaves us at a crossroads. The wide road of affluenza is comfy, familiar, full of instant gratification and applause. But it's a dead end. The narrow road? It's tough, facing fears, letting go of palms, reorienting your heart. Yet it's the path to real freedom, a life where you're not a slave to results or opinions, where you perform with joy and live with purpose. Jim's promise is clear. Chisel away what's not you, the pride, the neediness, and you'll find a warrior's heart, selfless and strong. It's not about denying desire. It's about desiring what lasts. So listener, what's your Maserati? What's pulling you from your true dream? This chapter's just the start. Inner excellence awaits to guide you home. Take a breath, reflect, and let's step toward that narrow road together. Chapter 2. Where the wild things are, pride and fears dance. Picture Jim Murphy in the batter's box, cleats dug into the dirt, the pitcher winding up. It's a crisp spring day with the Chicago Cubs minor league team, and he's chasing a dream. A fastball whizzes by, strike one. His shoulders tense. Strike two. The crowd fades, and a gnawing dread creeps in. By strike three, he's not just out, he's undone. That was me, Jim confesses, afraid of failure, my worth tied to every swing. I didn't know it then, but pride was running the show. In Where the Wild Things Are, Jim names pride as the root of fear, quoting C.S. Lewis. Pride is a ruthless, sleepless, unsmiling concentration on the self. It's not the boasting kind, though that's there too. It's the quiet, constant calculation. Asterisk, how do I look? Am I enough? Am I better than them? Asterisk, Jim learned this the hard way. A good game puffed him up, a bad one crushed him. Pride turned every at-bat into a referendum on his soul, and fear was its shadow. Fear of losing, of being less, of not measuring up. He draws on Thomas Kelly, a Quaker mystic. We Western people are afraid of losing our place in the cosmic scheme. That's pride's game, keeping us center stage, comparing, isolating. Jim recalls a PGA golfer he coached, tormented by a missed putt, not because it cost the tournament, but because it bruised his image. Pride narrows your world, Jim says. It's a wild beast that feeds on more than you, leaving you anxious, alone, and blind to what's possible. But there's an antidote, selflessness. Jim shares a shift he saw in Olympian Heather Brand. She stopped racing for medals and started running to inspire her team. Fear faded, her vision widened. Selflessness isn't weakness, Jim insists. It's freedom, a bigger lens that sees beauty, not threats. He ties this to his desert years, living simply, shedding ego. Pride chains us, letting go unlocks us. As we'll see, though, the mind's wild things don't surrender easily. They morph into voices that fight to keep us small. Chapter 3. The Greatest Opponents You'll Ever Face, the Inner Trio. Now, let's meet the three ringleaders of this inner circus, introduced in The Greatest Opponents You'll Ever Face. First up, the critic. Imagine a stern judge in your head, gavel poised, ready to slam every mistake. You're not good enough, it sneers. Jim remembers it from his slumps. Every strikeout wasn't just a miss. It was proof he didn't belong. The critic ties your worth to your last move, and it's merciless. He saw it in Ryan Dodd, the water ski jumper, post-injury. You'll never ski again. It hissed, until Ryan learned to ignore it. Next, the monkey mind, a chattering chaos swinging from thought to thought. Jim likens it to a radio stuck on scan, buzzing with worry, plans, regrets. It's the clutter that drowns focus, he says. Coaching NHL defenseman Kevin Connaughton, Jim watched this monkey wreak havoc before games. Doubts about the last play, the next shift. It's not evil, it's just noisy, pulling you from the moment. Jim's trick? Breathing slow, staring at a distant point, quieting the chatter to hear what matters. Finally, the trickster, the sly deceiver with a forked tongue. Remember that failure? It's coming again, it whispers. Jim faced it after a bad season. You're done. You'll never hit .300 again. The trickster projects past pain onto your future, accusing you of being less than you are. Jim saw it cripple a PGA caddy, Teddy Scott, until he reframed misses as lessons. It's a liar, Jim warns, and its power's in your belief. These three aren't just annoyances. They're the greatest opponents because they live inside, ambushing your peace, your performance, your life. Jim quotes Theodore Roosevelt. It's not the critic who counts, but admits that critic's in us, and it's loud. He saw athletes unravel under its weight, until they didn't. The key? Recognizing these voices aren't you. They're echoes of pride and fear, and you can choose not to dance with them. The inner battle, how they work together. Here's the twist. The critic, monkey mind, and trickster don't fight alone. They're a tag team, amplifying pride's chaos. Picture this. Jim's at the plate, bases loaded, 2 outs. The monkey mind starts. Asterisk, what if I strike out? What will coach think? Asterisk, the critic jumps in. You always choke in clutch moments. Pathetic. Then the trickster seals it. This'll be just like last time. Failure's your fate. 1 pitch later, he's walking back, head down, fear confirmed. It's a cycle, Jim explains. Pride sparks self-concern. Asterisk, I need to look good, asterisk, and the trio pounces. The monkey mind scatters your focus. The critic judges your worth. The trickster traps you in a story of doom. Together, they shrink your world to a pinprick of anxiety. Jim saw it in his clients. A CEO fretting over a presentation. A golfer obsessing over a rival's score. They're not separate, he says. They're pride's minions, keeping you self-centered. But here's the hope. They're not invincible. Jim shares Ryan Dodd's turnaround. After his skull fracture, the trio roared. Asterisk, you're broken, distracted, finished. Asterisk yet Ryan, guided by inner excellence, stepped back. He didn't argue. He observed. The critic's verdict wasn't truth. It was noise. The monkey mind's chatter wasn't him. It was habit. The trickster's lies weren't fate. They were old tapes. By detaching, he skied again, broke records, and found peace. You don't fight them, Jim says. You see through them. Conclusion: taming the wild within. As we leave these chapters, Jim leaves us with a torch for this wildwood. Pride and fear aren't flaws to shame. They're human. The critic, monkey mind, and trickster aren't your essence. They're patterns you can unlearn. The battle's not against them, Jim says, but for your true self, the one beyond fear, beyond comparison. He learned it in the desert, watching stars, not stats. He taught it to athletes who soared. So, listener, what's your inner wild whispering today? That missed deadline, that harsh word, are they defining you? Jim's call is clear: widen your lens. Love something bigger. Growth, connection, courage, and pride loses its grip. Quiet the chatter, question the verdict, rewrite the story. The greatest victory isn't silencing these foes, it's outgrowing them. Step out of the wild, heart steady, and let inner excellence light your way. Chapter 4. The Daring and the Twilight. 3 Pillars Rise. Picture July 15, 2007. Lewis Gordon Pugh stands on Arctic ice, the sea of frigid 29 degrees Fahrenheit, wind slicing through. He's about to swim a kilometer, unprotected, no wetsuit, in waters that should kill him in minutes. Why? Not for fame, but to scream against climate change. He dives in, every stroke a defiance of fear, finishing in 18 minutes and 50 seconds. I didn't think clearly, he told Jim later. I just acted, heart first. That's where the daring and the twilight begins, with the raw pulse of extraordinary performance. Jim unveils 3 pillars here: love, wisdom, and courage. Together, they form BFF, belief, focus, freedom, the tripod of excellence. First, love. It's not mushy romance. It's passion, leading with your heart. Pugh swam because he loved the planet more than his comfort. Jim saw it in his PGA clients, like Stuart Sink, who played not for the paycheck, but for the game's soul. Love fuels you, Jim says. It's the why that drowns out fear. Next, wisdom, purpose beyond self. It's the expanded vision that sees past the scoreboard. Jim recalls Georges St. Pierre, a world champion martial artist, praying for his opponents, not to win, but to grow together. Wisdom asks, what's this for? Jim explains, it's the compass when twilight falls. He ties this to his baseball days. I chase stats, not purpose. Wisdom would have freed me. Finally, courage, poise in the moment. It's being fully present, unflinching. Think of Teddy Scott, a PGA caddy for Bubba Watson, staying calm amid chaos. Courage isn't loud, Jim says. It's quiet focus when stakes soar. He saw it in NHL defenseman Kevin Connaughton, facing a penalty shot, heart steady because he loved the challenge, not the outcome. These pillars aren't separate, they dance. Love sparks belief in what's possible, wisdom sharpens focus on what matters, courage frees you to act. Jim calls it daring in the twilight, that space where light dims, pressure mounts, and you rise anyway. He coached Olympians through it. They didn't win because they were fearless, they won because they leaned into fear with BFF. It's a framework for us all, game day or Monday morning, forged in the daring moments that shape who we become. Chapter 5. Code of the Samurai, Mastering the Ego. Now, let's travel back to feudal Japan, where samurai warriors honed blades and hearts alike. In Code of the Samurai, Jim introduces Koyama Bunpachiro, his great-grandfather, a man who woke daily ready to die. The samurai code demanded it: total commitment, ego surrendered to duty. You must die anew each morning, wrote Yamamoto Tsunetomo, a samurai sage. Jim latches onto this. To master performance, master yourself, starting with the ego. Bunpachiro's life was discipline incarnate: swordplay, poetry, tea ceremonies, all training to put country and master above self. But when the samurai era ended in 1867, his purpose crumbled, and so did he, lost to drink. His ego was tied to status, Jim reflects. When it vanished, he had nothing. This is the samurai lesson inverted. Without a bigger why, ego consumes you. Jim bridges this to today with Apollo Ono, Olympic speed skater. Apollo didn't chase gold. He skated to feel alive, to test his soul. It's not about me, he told a podcast Jim cites. It's about the moment. That's samurai spirit, dying to self-concern, living for something greater. Jim saw it in Ryan Dodd, the water ski jumper, post-injury. I stopped needing to prove myself, Ryan said. I just jumped. World records followed, not because he craved them, but because he was free. The samurai mastered ego through surrender, imagining death daily. Jim adapts this. Let go of what you can't control, results, opinions, and you're unshackled. He recalls coaching a CEO, tense before a board meeting, ego screaming, "What if they hate it?" Jim asked, "What if you're already dead to their judgment?" The man laughed, relaxed, and nailed it. Surrender's not giving up, Jim insists. It's giving over, to love, to purpose. He digs deeper. Suffering's the forge. Samurai embraced it. So did Jim's clients. Grit comes after facing fears, he says, quoting his friend Ricky Scruggs. Think of Chi Rodriguez, golfer and faith walker. I never prayed to win, just to play my best. That's ego tamed. Performance flows when neediness dies. Jim ties it to Alcoholics Anonymous surrender too. Selflessness heals. For samurai, warriors, us, it's the same path. Die to ego, live to excellence. Pillars and warriors united. The foundation holds. These chapters aren't separate, they're two sides of a blade. The pillars, love, wisdom, courage, give you the what, passion to believe, purpose to focus, poise to be free. The samurai code gives the how, surrender ego, embrace the moment, live beyond self. Together, they're the foundation of inner excellence. Jim saw it transform his clients, golfers, executives, teams. They didn't just win more, he says. They lived more. Take Henrik Stenson, a PGA star Jim coached. He'd tense up, ego whispering, "Don't miss." Jim taught him the pillars. Love the game. See the bigger why. Stay present. Then the samurai twist. Die to the miss. It's already gone. Stenson loosened, swung free, and soared. It's not about suppressing ego, Jim clarifies. It's outgrowing it with something stronger. This is for us too. Deadline looming? Love the work. Find its purpose. Breathe into now. Let ego fade. The foundation holds when you do, Jim promises. It's gritty, raw, but liberating. Excellence isn't a gift. It's a choice, forged daily. Conclusion. Step into the forge. As we step from this forge, Jim leaves us glowing steel, hot with possibility. Pillars and warriors isn't theory. It's a call. Dare the twilight. Wield love, wisdom, courage. Surrender the ego's grip. Amazing awaits, he says, echoing his clients' breakthroughs. Listener, what's your anvil? A pitch, a meeting, a dream? Lean into these foundations. Let them shape you. The fire's lit. The hammer's yours. Strike now and build excellence that lasts. Chapter 6. Change your state. Change your life. Taming the storm. It's a rainy night in Vancouver, and Erica Kay, a dancer Jim coached, steps onto a dimly lit stage. Her heart pounds. Stage fright's icy grip tightens. She's forgotten steps before, frozen mid-performance. The crowd's silence deafening. Tonight, though, she breathes deep, imagines a sunlit meadow, and glides through every move. I changed my state, she told Jim later. It changed everything. That's the heart of change your state. Change your life. Your emotions don't own you. You steer them. Jim defines your state as the fusion of heart, mind, and body, how you feel, moment to moment. What's running your life at any instant? He asks, quoting John Ortberg. Your state. Anger before a meeting, fear before a leap. It's not the event, but how you feel about it. Jim learned this in baseball. A strikeout didn't just sting. It hijacked him, shoulders slumped, focus gone. I didn't know I could shift it, he admits. Now he teaches us how. First tool, reset. 2 breaths. Inhale through the nose, belly out. Exhale long, jaw loose, while staring above the horizon. It stops the storm, Jim says. He taught it to PGA golfer Gareth Bale, who'd tense up mid-round. 1 reset, and Gareth sank putts like water. Next, environment. A 2008 Yale study showed warm drinks make you friendlier. Jim uses this with clients. Sip tea, feel calm. He coached a CEO before a pitch. It worked, nerves melted. Then, visualization. Erica's meadow wasn't random. Jim had her build it. Grass underfoot, breeze on skin. Your brain doesn't know it's not real, he explains, citing Ivan Pavlov's conditioning. He recalls his own slump, imagining a perfect swing. Over time, it stuck. State's a muscle, he says. Flex it. He shares Freddie Roach, boxing coach, calming Manny Pacquiao pre-fight. No anger, just focus. Manny won poised. Jim ties it to science. Open focus attention, balancing awareness, quiets chaos. You're not your feelings, he insists. You're the pilot. He saw it in Ryan Dodd, water ski champ. Post-injury, fear surged, but a reset mid-jump, deep breath, present focus, sent him flying to records. Change your state. Jim promises, and your life follows. It's not suppression, it's command, a skill for any storm. Chapter 7. The world is flat, rewriting your reality. Now, picture Tyrone Muggsy Bogues, 5 feet 3 inches, the shortest NBA player ever, dodging giants like Michael Jordan. Born in Baltimore's projects, he faced gunfire, poverty, doubt. Yet he dunked at 12, starred at Wake Forest, and played 14 pro seasons. I never saw my height as a limit, he wrote in his memoir. That's the world is flat, not Columbus myth, but your beliefs' power to flatten obstacles or raise them. Jim calls beliefs your subconscious thermostat. They set your life's temperature. Your world's as big as you believe it is, he says. In baseball, he believed he was his stats. Hit .300, he's golden. Slumped to .250, he's trash. I boxed myself in, he reflects. Coaching changed that. He saw belief bend reality. Tyrone's story proves it. People laughed, but I saw possibility. How do you shift beliefs? Jim offers steps. First, awareness. What's your story, he asks. His was, I'm only as good as my last game. Clients echo it. A CEO's, I'll fail without control. A golfer's, I choke under pressure. Next, challenge. Jim probed Tyrone's doubters. Height's a fact, not a fate. He did it with himself. Stats aren't me, they're feedback. Then, reframe. Jim cites Michelle Obama. Failure's a feeling long before it's an outcome. Tyrone reframed short as quick, his edge. Jim taught a client, Callista, to see layoffs as growth, not loss. She thrived. Finally, reinforce. Visualization again. Jim had Tyrone picture steals, not blocks. Repetition builds neural paths, he says, nodding to neuroplasticity. Over time, belief shifts. He shares the Delancey Street Foundation. Ex-cons rebuilding lives through new stories. I'm not my past. Jim visited, saw a cook who'd been a felon, now beaming. Beliefs are choices, Jim insists. His own shifted in the desert. I'm enough, not my hits. It freed him to coach world-class athletes. Many hit career highs with him. Your world's flat till you believe it's round, he says. Then it's limitless. Conclusion, master your controls. As we land this jet, Jim ties these chapters tight. Emotions and beliefs are your throttle and rudder. Change your state hands you tools. Reset, tweak, visualize to steady the turbulence. The world is flat redraws your map. Question, reframe, reinforce to fly where you dream. Together, they're mastery. You're not a passenger, Jim says. You're the pilot. He saw it in Erica's dance, Tyrone's hoops, his own life, state, and belief, aligned, lift you. Listener, what's your storm today? A tense call, a lingering doubt? Breathe, reset, then ask, what do I believe here? Jim's promise. Master these, and no altitude's too high. The controls are yours. Take them and soar. Chapter 8. A Clear and Present Beauty. 5 Paths to Presence. It's August 2019, just outside Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Ryan Dodd, world champion water ski jumper, rockets off the ramp at 70 miles per hour, soaring over 200 feet. Mid-air, chaos could reign. Wind, nerves, the stakes of a third title. Instead, he's calm, whispering, I'm here now. He lands, wins, and later tells Jim, presence is everything. That's a clear and present beauty. 5 ways to live fully in this breath, not the last or next. Jim starts with simplify your mind. It's not daily increase, but daily decrease. He quotes Bruce Lee. Clutter, worries, to-dos, steals presence. He taught golfer Brandt Snedeker a mantra. One shot, this shot. Brandt won the 2012 Tour Championship, mind clear. Jim tried it in the desert. No TV, half his stuff gone, finding stillness. Strip away, he says, and beauty emerges. Next, embrace gratitude. Jim cites Viktor Frankl. Discover beauty in the smallest things. A wildflower, a child's laugh, gratitude roots you. He recalls Ken Griffey Jr., baseball legend, starting 1990 with daily thanks. Home runs followed. It's not naive, Jim insists. It's power, shifting from lack to awe. He saw it in clients. A CEO, burned out, listed 3 joys daily. Energy returned. Third, release hurry. Hurry's in your head, not your watch, Jim says, echoing a pastor friend. Studies show 95% of executives suffer hurry sickness. Rushing kills presence. Jim shares Padraig Harrington, golfer, slowing his walk between holes. I'll win my way, he'd say. He did. Jim tried it too. I quit rushing emails. Clarity grew. Fourth, notice beauty. Try to see the world anew. Jim quotes Stanislavski. A sunset, a stranger's smile. It's there if you look. He coached Ron Svedich, a Rockies exec, To pause midday, spot one beauty, stress faded. Jim's desert nights, stars blazing, taught him, beauty's a reset button. Finally, reset often. That breath trick. Inhale deep, exhale long. Eyes up, grounds you. Jim gave it to Ryan Dodd. Mid-jump, I'd reset. Fear vanished. Jim used it coaching. A tense moment, one breath, and I'm back. Presence isn't passive, he says. It's active, choosing now. Together, these 5 weave a tapestry of calm, potent focus, ready for what's next. Chapter 9. Unstoppable, Breaking Mental Barriers. Now, picture Steve Sax, Dodgers second baseman, mid-1980s. He's fielding flawlessly, until he isn't. Throws to first veer wild. The yips strike, sudden, crippling fear. It's like my arm forgot itself, he later wrote. Or Rick Ankiel, pitcher turned outfielder, unraveling in the 2000 playoffs. Wild pitches, confidence gone. That's unstoppable, facing mental blocks, fears, phobias, and smashing through. Jim calls these invisible chains, trauma, doubt, stuck beliefs. They're not you, he says, just old wiring. Steve's yips, Rick's collapse. Both hit barriers no training could fix. Jim's fix? A blend of sports psychology and heart-deep healing. He starts with neuroplasticity. Your brain rewires with every lesson. Steve learned this late. Rick, guided by mentors, earlier, both broke free. Enter the Hollywood helper, Jim's gem from NLP coaching. Picture a phobia, say, public speaking, as a movie. Step out, watch it on screen, shrink it, turn it black and white, laugh at it. Rick used this post, 2000. I saw my wild pitches as a cartoon, less real. He returned as an outfielder, hit .343 in 2007. You're the director, Jim says. Rewrite the script. He shares Tommy Armour, golfer, yips plagued in the 20s. I'd freeze, Tommy said. Jim's modern twist. Visualize success, not failure. Tommy lacked that tool then. Jim gave it to a client, a dancer with stage fright. See the crowd cheer. She danced free. Blocks are memories, Jim explains. Reframe them, they lose power. Then, surrender the fight. Don't battle fear, let it pass, he quotes Ken Ravizza. Jim saw it in a CEO, terrified of failure, gripping control. I let go, the man said after a reset and reframe. Profits soared. Jim ties it to his baseball days. I fought slumps, surrendering would have freed me. Ryan Dodd, post-skull fracture, didn't force recovery. He flowed past fear, unstoppable. Power's in release, Jim insists, not resistance. Conclusion, presence fuels power. As we step from these chapters, Jim weaves presence and power tight. A clear and present beauty roots you. Simplify, think, slow, see, reset. So you're here, alive. Unstoppable unleashes you. Rewire, reframe, release, to break barriers. Presence fuels power, Jim says. You can't shatter chains distracted. He saw it in Ryan's jumps, Steve's comeback. Focus now, barriers fall. Listener, what's your noise? A deadline's hum, a fear's echo? Try this. Breathe, spot beauty. Then ask, what's my block? Shrink it, laugh, let go. Jim's promise. You're not stuck, you're unstoppable. The lake's still, the power's yours. Step in, break free, and shine. Chapter 10. The Hero and the Goat. Poise under pressure. It's January 15th, 2009, and Captain Chesley Sullenberger sits in the cockpit of U.S. Airways Flight 1549. Birds strike both engines. Power's gone, 155 souls aboard. Brace for impact, he says, calm as steel, landing on the Hudson River, saving all. Or picture Ryan Dodd, water ski jumper, midair in Malaysia, 2019, third world title on the line. I'm here, he whispers, landing flawlessly. That's the hero and the goat. Poise when the world watches, separating heroes from those who falter. Jim defines poise as love, wisdom, and courage in action. Staying present, not paralyzed. Pressure's not the problem, he says. It's how you meet it. In baseball, he choked. Bases loaded. He'd overthink, strike out. I was the GOAT, he admits, fearful of failure. Coaching flipped that. He saw poise transform lives. Sully's secret? I focused on the process, he told CBS, not the panic. Ryan's? I love the challenge, he told Jim, not the ribbon. First key, selflessness. Jim cites George's St. Pierre, martial arts champ. I'd pray for my opponent. His best brought mine. No ego, just dance. Stuart Sink, PGA golfer, echoed it. Nah, don't have it. He'd shrug off bad shots, then sink the next. Selflessness frees you, Jim says. He taught a CEO this mid-crisis. Serve the team, not your pride. Profits soared. Next, process over outcome. Phil Jackson, Bulls coach, told Michael Jordan, "Play the moment, not the score." 6 titles followed. Jim saw it in Darren McMahon's, Giants coach. "I tell guys, control the pitch, not the hit." Losses stung less, wins piled up. Jim tried it post-baseball. "I stopped needing applause, focus sharpened." Finally, reset and release. That breath, inhale deep, exhale long, grounds you. Ryan used it mid-jump, Sully mid-flight. Jim gave it to Apollo Ono, skater. "Taste the ice," Apollo said, present, winning gold. Poise isn't born, Jim insists. It's built, loving the now. He saw clients, golfers, execs, turn goats to heroes, steady when stakes spiked. Chapter 11, Maslow, Michael Jordan, and the Navy SEALs, leading the extraordinary. Now, January 2002, Fiesta Bowl. Jim Tressel, Ohio State coach, faces Miami's dynasty. His Buckeyes, underdogs, win in double overtime. "Success is peace of mind from doing your best," he'd quote John Wooden, not the scoreboard. Or Michael Jordan, 1997 Finals, flu-ridden, dropping 38, team first. Or Navy SEALs, relentless, mission above self. That's Maslow, Michael Jordan, and the Navy SEALs, 3 hallmarks of extraordinary leaders. Jim pulls from Maslow's selfless actualizers, Lincoln, Einstein, adding Jordan and SEALs. They lead by lifting others. First hallmark, selflessness. Jordan passed when doubled, trusting Pippen, rings piled up. SEALs share, no one's left behind, a sniper told Jim. Tressel built Ohio State on it. "Team over me," players chanted. Jim saw it in a client, a tech VP. "I stopped shining." Team glowed, sales doubled. Second, vision. "See what others don't," Jim says. Wooden never scouted foes. Focus was internal. UCLA won 10 titles. Jordan saw plays unfold. SEALs saw missions through chaos. Jim coached a CEO this. Dream beyond profit. Purpose stuck. Her firm innovated, thrived. In the desert, Jim's vision shifted. Not stats, lives. It guided his retreats, his freedom project. Third, discipline. SEALs trained to exhaustion. Focus unbreakable. Jordan shot 500 jumpers daily. Flu didn't stop him. Tressel drilled character. Losses taught growth. Jim saw it in Steve Kerr, Warriors coach. "Routine's my edge," Kerr said, winning 3 titles. Jim gave it to a golfer. Daily reset, daily swing, consistency sort. He ties it to his work. Clients hit career highs, selfless, visionary, disciplined. A UBC golf team he coached in 2007 to 2008 won nationals. Team drills, big dreams, no egos. Leadership's not loud, Jim says. It's steady, raising excellence in all. His own climb. From stats to souls, discipline forged it. "You're the thermostat," he tells us, "set the heat." Conclusion, the peak of poise and power. As we crest this ridge, Jim plants a flag. Poise and leadership are twins. Both rise from love, wisdom, courage. The hero and the goat steadies you, selfless, process-driven, present, turning pressure to power. Maslow, Michael Jordan, and the Navy SEALs lifts you, selfless, visionary, disciplined, guiding others up. It's the final climb, Jim says, to your best self. He saw it in Sully's landing, Jordan's flu game, his clients' breakthroughs. Poise won, leadership scaled. Listener, what's your peak? A clutch moment, a team to lead? Breathe, focus here, then see big, stay steady. Jim's promise. You're built for this. Hero, leader, all. The summit's yours. Stand tall and climb on. Conclusion, a new way of life. As we close, Jim leaves us with a vision. A life where performance and peace coexist, where we climb not for the peak, but for who we become. Inner excellence isn't a finish line, it's a lifestyle. Join the journey, he says, online, at retreats, through his Freedom Project, because the world needs your excellence. So listener, what will you love most? What will you let go? The path is narrow, the cost high, but the reward? A heart unshaken, a life extraordinary. Step forward. Amazing awaits. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and please remember to subscribe to receive notification of upcoming recordings. See you in next video.